So the first Wednesday, the book that we're going to read, look at me, so that I'm pointing even good, it's opposite, that I'm reading is Get Smart by Brian Tracy. So as we talked about on Monday, it's Fearless Fall Month, and this week it's top 5 things. And so on Monday we talked about setting some fearless goals for ourselves. And I thought this book would be a great book for you to read if you want to set some fearless goals, because it's an excellent book about setting, like looking at the process you make your choices by and how you set your goals. And then it gives you a really strong structure at the end of the book on how to do some goal setting exercises. So I want to give you 5 tips from this book that I picked up, and I'm already on my second review of it, and this is not my actual copy of the book because mine has it like written all, even on the cover says really good. So I think you would really love this book. Okay, the first tip that I have from this book is slow thinking versus fast thinking. And in our society, I think we've really become prone to fast thinking, making really quick decisions, and I know I'm very guilty of this myself. And Ryan in this book says we need to take time to think about when should we implement slow thinking versus fast thinking. So fast thinking would be things that we make on a daily basis, or also like an emergency requires fast thinking. But if there's something that is going to have a consequence in our life, that a long-term consequence, we should implement slow thinking. And it's kind of a habit that we may have gotten away from in our fast-paced society. 3 ways to think about slow thinking are implementing a 72-hour rule. So if a decision comes up and you have to make it, you're not sure, give yourself 72 hours and then make the choice. Which I even like to make that choice when I want to buy some clothes. Like if I walk away and I still want to go back in 72 hours, I'm there. The other one is to write it down. And so if we take the time to journal about it and write it down, and when you're writing down, you really have to think through a process. So that's another way to implement slow thinking. And the third way to implement slow thinking is to take some quiet time for yourself. And that sounds so obvious and simple, but do we really do that in today's society? We have music, we have television, we have the car radio, and we have something going all the time. But if you actually take yourself to a quiet place and just sit and think, I know like sometimes when I get really stressed, I know I also have my kids a text, I'm not ignoring you, I'm thinking. I'm sure they think like, oh good, mom's finally thinking. What it really means is I want silence and I need to like process thoughts in my, to get my life in order or things like that. So I take thinking time. So that's number 1, slow thinking versus fast thinking. Number 2 is be willing to fail. When we're setting our goals and that, and I think, we think if we set these goals, we implement them, we're not going to have success all along the way. Well, I think I told you on Monday, like one of my goals is to make Fearless Gray a movement. And if my goal was to never have a failure in this whole process, I certainly wouldn't be here today, because I have failures every day when I'm making these videos trying to implement make Fearless Gray a movement. And so we have to be willing to put our failures out there. And like one of the things I heard once is like we weren't born learning how to walk. We had all those failures of falling down. So anything that we've ever learned to do, there's probably been a failure along the way to get us there. So the 2 tips so far about learning or setting our goals from Brian Tracy is slow thinking versus fast thinking, and be willing to fail. Number 3 is get experience. And that kind of goes hand in hand with failing, I guess. But as you fail, you're getting experience. And if you wanted to try something new, let's say that you wanted to be, I don't know, let's say you just wanted to be, you wanted to be an assistant for the principal at the high school. The way you're going to do that is not by walking in there and knowing how to do it. It's going to be by getting experience day after day, week after week for the whole school year. And so in order to accomplish our goals, we have to get experience of how to do it along the way. Number 4 is to have goal-oriented thinking versus reactionary thinking. And in a way, this goes hands in hand with the slow thinking versus fast thinking. But goal-oriented thinking would be, all right, this is my goal, and I'm going to assess every decision I make against my goal. So my goal is to make Fearless Gray a movement. So does that mean that I should sit around and watch Sports Center every day? That's not going to help me make Fearless Gray a movement. So that would be my goal-oriented thinking. My reactionary thinking would be, oh my gosh, the couch looks awesome. I'm just going to go sit down for 5 minutes on the couch and watch this. And then before you know it, an hour is gone. So it wasn't my reactionary thinking like, oh, I want to do this. I want to, or even, I think probably a really good way to look at this is my food intake and maybe yours too, like reactionary. I want chocolate. Goal-oriented thinking. I want to be healthy. So it's kind of goal, what's your end goal as opposed to your immediate reactionary, what you want. Finally, number 5 is to implement time management. And that is so critical, important when you're trying to set goals because as actually I was just saying, when if you sit down to watch TV and 5 minutes becomes an hour, you need to implement time management strategies. A couple tips for that is overcome procrastination. And I know for myself, like I procrastinate about the things I hate the most. And I know there's a book out there right now, maybe by Brian Tracy actually, called Eat That Frog, which I'm going to read next, which is about doing the things you really don't want to do and doing them first. So don't procrastinate. Number 2 is, my handwriting got really small at the bottom of my chart, but look, I moved it over here so I can see better now. Number 2 is make your list in the evening beforehand. So make your top goals for the next day the night before. So when you wake up, you can knock those 3 out. That, you know, the 3 ones that are, you're using your goal-oriented thinking, so the 3 ones that are going to be closest to your greater goal. Finally, another time sucker is emails. And so if you're going to implement time management strategies, set a time of day that you'll only look at your email. And it's so hard, you know, it's on your phone and you just like, oh, check it constantly, but it's such a distraction because then you're like, a lot of times we look at it, we don't react to what the email wants, but then it's just sitting there. So set times of your day that you'll look at your email, like 11 and 3. And people get used to that too, like emailing you, they're going to, oh, she'll respond at 3 o'clock. So let's recap. Our top 5 tips, or not top 5, because this book is excellent. You should read it. There's way more than 5. But these are just 5 tips I pulled out for us as far as having a fearless fall and implementing our goals. Number 1, slow thinking versus fast thinking. Number 2, be willing to fail. Number 3, get experience. Number 4, goal-oriented thinking versus reactionary thinking. And number 5 is time management. So those are the 5 tips. I really hope you consider getting this book. It really is life-changing, and it's one of those books I feel like I will read over and over. I could probably read it every 6 months because I think when you read something, you implement it, and then time goes by and you get kind of lax, and then you implement it again. Just to wrap up, why is goal setting important even in our fearless gray years? We have half our life left, you guys. We cannot waste it. We can't just kind of lounge into like our fearless gray years because it'll be like the couch I was talking about. If we don't have a goal-oriented plan for our fearless gray years, it's going to become a reactionary 50 years. So let's not do that. Flamingo lingo of the day is we flock our goals. Of course we do. Hey, please remember to flock this. Follow, like, comment, share.